Well, thanks for coming. Our focus is on KidBlog, and I learned about this through one of my summer courses this summer. I'm taking classes towards my master's, so I learned about it this summer, and then I ran it by Mary at one of our orientations for professional development in August, and she said that this would be a good thing to incorporate. So I use it for my religion class, I use it for my social studies class, I use it in different ways, but it's both through KidBlog. So the main site is kidblog.org, and then when you set it up, you then create what the tag is after it. So for me, I use Miss Dermody's class, and then Miss Dermody's class -2. So that's how the kids get to our site specifically. So this is the layout of KidBlog. So they have their posts, the date when it was posted, who the author is, and then I also have them make comments on each other's. I have 3 comments as a requirement, and that helps in a variety of ways. First of all, they're collaborating, and that's really key to do that outside of the classroom because they're moving beyond just the 4 walls of room 206. And it's getting everyone involved because even when we have sometimes like small group or partner discussion, as you guys know, that not everyone is always actively involved or equally as involved. So this really helps get them involved, not just in the classroom, but outside the classroom, and everyone is contributing equally. So that was another plus. Another one is it's a new type of technology for them to be blogging. They were pretty unfamiliar with it when I introduced it to them. It's non-worksheet, it's non-notes, so they're getting to show what they know in a new way. I don't have laptops or using the computer lab for them to do this, so this is all on their own time. So they're doing it during study hall, in homeroom, at home on their own time, so then in class I can then focus on activities, things like that. For the blogs, I use a lot of higher level thinking questions. As you guys know, with the new religion series, there's like a big idea or big question, so that's what we blog about. And then for social studies, I do a lot of questions where it's not really just like defining words or things like that. So it's maybe like cause, effect, compare, contrast. So just showing you how it looks. So we'll just click on one post here. So this is from my religion class. And their question that they were blogging about is, in what ways can I find truth? Or how can I find truth? So Abby blogged her answer to that. She said, I can find it through my family, people around me, when I go to church, listen to readings, when I pray to God, He helps me and finds my way back when I am lost. So that was her answer to that one. This was before we started reading the chapter, so then she said kind of her brainstorming of her own thing. So we use it as a pre-reading activity. And then after we go through chapter 2 in class, then we discuss, obviously, in what ways we can find truth through scripture, tradition, and church. And then afterwards, they go in and comment. So their assignment for this evening for religion was to comment. So Grace said, I feel the same way when I go to church and I listen. I also know that God forgives me for my sins, and I listen to readings, etc. And then she also got another comment from Amber that said, this is what we talked about in class. So they're relating it to class, outside of class, which is really nice. And then for both of my religion and social studies classes, I have them post either a picture or a website resource as a link. And I do a link for a variety of reasons. Number one, that it's taking them directly to the page that they can look at it, because if they were to post a picture directly, they would need a formal citation. So this is then just directing them someplace else to click on. So skill for them with hyperlinks. So here's Abby's picture as a Bible to represent her post. So that's cool that then they're demonstrating their creativity in some way. Looking at the social studies class, that's religion. And raise your hand if you have questions at any time, feel free. Okay, so here is social studies. Theirs is focused around their reading. We have chapters, and within chapters we have like 3 or 4 sections. So theirs is based on their reading. So they read for homework, and then they also do their blog post for homework. So I give them 3 questions to answer based on their reading. So like cause, effect, maybe compare, contrast. with different skills. And then once we read all of the sections in the chapter, then we do comments. And they did that for due today. So just looking at some ones here. We learned recently about plate tectonics. So there's a lot of questions relating to plates. We learned about weathering, about erosion recently, so that's what a lot of their questions are. And then Cole has a link there to a picture. And then I also have them describe their picture to say like how it relates, why it's important, why did you pick that image out of the thousands of other ones. So he said this is the Grand Canyon. It was created by the Colorado River. So that's incorporating landforms, which we've been talking about, and also erosion. So when I click on his hyperlink, there's the Grand Canyon that then he's linking up to there. So also he has comments. Something that we talked about with Sue Ford in our professional development was how they are incorporating language arts skills beyond just language arts class. So I really encourage them to say, no matter if you're commenting or posting, it should be in a complete sentence. It should have capital letters. It should have end punctuation. We're not having run-ons and fragments, those type of things. So they have their comments in here. And I said, you know, you're not just saying like good job smiley face. Like be specific in your comment. So really thinking about what did that author do well, what things did you agree on, what things did you guys disagree on, things like that to make it then specific for the author. Okay. I'm going to show you guys how I set this up with them. There's a brain pop video on blogs, so we could learn how blogs are used, what they're used for, who all uses them. So there's a brain pop video on blogs, I think, under technology. So they all got this blog expectation sheet to say how it's going to go, thinking about what all is going to be included in a blog post, that you'll be expected to make comments. So this is how I grade them. So this is for social studies. So they get points then for their 3 questions that they answer, and then their hyperlink and description for their picture. So there's 3 sections. They get 3 points then for their 3 comments, so it's a total out of 15 points per chapter. That's just how I did it. I thought that would be the easiest. I gave them step-by-step instructions. First, how to log in when they first create their account for the first time. So they go first to the home page, then they get this little secret code to then create a username and a password. And then once they have their username and password, I recommend one that they already use so there's not 10 passwords out there. And then I also encourage them to write it down so then they can refer back to it. And then once they go in the second time, once they have their login, their username and password, then they're going to the full class website. So kidblog.org/MrHicksClass. And then they would click login, which is here in the top corner. We talked a lot about digital citizenship for doing the blog, to say that we're using intelligent, professional, academic comments. We're not saying, you know, things like, I don't like your picture or something like that. So I do have control as a teacher and as an administrator that then I can trash comments if they're not good or valid or appropriate. So I told them that ahead of time. You know, be prepared. What I can do for when I grade to count up their 3 comments or to look at all of their posts, I can go student by student. At first I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be so time consuming. 60 kids times 3 comments, I'm going to be searching for 180 comments. So the main thing that I use is under control panel. So if I go to comments to trace their comments, I see them all here. So I could say, oh, there's Hallie's 3. Or here's Cameron's 3. If I want to filter by just one person, say I'm going through my rubrics and grading, I can search for just one person. So if I want to look for Alexa's comments, then I can search by just her. So that's really helpful, but then I'm not scanning through 60 students. So that's really helpful. I could do that too with posts to look for did they get their 3, etc. So here under posts again, I could go to just a specific user and check theirs. And that's all under control panel. So that's really helpful rather than scanning through pages and pages. Yes?
Do you allow it to go live and then go in and delete comments, or does it sit and wait until you accept the comment to be published?
There is the option for you to approve before they publish, and I took that off. So I go in after they have their work done for the chapter, which would be once they have all this done. So then I just grade in one setting. I do look at the date, though, if someone was late in publishing. Especially since this was a new type of technology, I did assist them in class or gave them an extra day if it was something that they were having trouble with. But I was really key on saying, you know, you have study hall time, you have homeroom time. So really saying that they could get things done at school too. I was also big on saying, tell me ahead of time, not as you're walking out the door, like, oh, by the way, didn't get this done. So if you told me ahead of time, came in before school or after school for help, then I can assist you. So rather than me saying, oh, so-and-so, I didn't see your post in there. So I've really been focusing too on them for being proactive as well.
No problems with appropriate this time?
Oh no, I haven't had to trash anything. No. I'm going to pass around a couple things for you. Sorry, I didn't have a handout. This is just my rubric, so they just get a little sheet here, then at the end of the chapter with their sections and their comments. I'm passing around what they get for social studies with their little section questions, and I give them directions there. Passing around what I give them for religion with their kind of big idea. And then also my blog expectation sheet, I'll pass that around.
Can they find all those things electronically?
Yes, I posted it myself so that they could see a sample post. So here, I have my blog expectations here, and for social studies, I did a sample post. So I explained my picture, I cited my picture, and then I also did a website resource and a picture resource. I had 3 questions that then I answered, and then I have here like a sample comment too to show them. So
If they need to know which questions to answer, have you got those online somewhere? Or they have to have
no,
a
that's
paper?
only paper.
Okay.
Sorry. I just do like a sample post in here just so they can again see a guide to it. So I won't
Could you
pass
also
it.
send me electronic copies that I could attach to the video email for those that
Oh,
are
yeah.
watching it at home?
Yeah, for sure.
Great.
So if you look at them and somebody, like they're answering their questions and their question is wrong,
Mm-hmm.
or their answer is wrong,
Mm-hmm.
do you comment back to them on what was wrong, or do you talk about the class, or how do you deal with that?
I addressed that in class rather than commenting on it. So I just didn't want that to be on here because then like other students could see like, oh, Miss Dermody, you know, was talking about their answer. So I would then maybe make a statement in class total to say, oh, maybe we weren't clear on that because then maybe it could apply to lots of people. Or just talking to a student individually or things like that. So I didn't want to comment on here necessarily that, you know, something was unclear or that their answer was off track, just because then it is visible to the whole class. So we also think about in here, copyright was a new thing for them that I talked about to say why we are doing a hyperlink instead of a picture directly, or that's why we're doing the hyperlink as opposed to just inserting things. So that was a new thing for them too, which was nice. We also talked about in our professional development to prepare them for college and career readiness, and very similar to blogging for me in my undergrad and now in my grad school, I've been doing a lot of things on discussion boards, like on Blackboard, blogging. So this is preparing them for some higher level education too. And this one is kid friendly, so it's very doable. So as they keep on moving on into college, they're going to be familiar with this type of format.
This is also really good too because for privacy laws and things, these kids don't have to put in their own email address. So this could be used as young as kindergarten, really, or however young or old, because it does protect the students' privacy. And as we talked, this blog is not searchable. It's only by invite only, so it's completely private.
So I'll show you how we log in. So I'll just go ahead and log out. So when you go to just our class site, Miss Dermody's class, after the KidBlog.org, it pops up here. So if you're just searching in general, you could get to the KidBlog homepage, but you need to then log in. So like for example, if I'm just some person searching and I'm clicking here, it says you have to log in to read the post. So it's totally privacy protected.
But they can see their first and last name.
Well, if I just wanted to go into Google, let's just try like KidBlog Miss Dermody's class. It doesn't even pop up. It's just the KidBlog home. So even if you're just doing a general Google search for KidBlog Miss Dermody's class, it doesn't pop up.
The other thing, if you're worried about that still, I mean, you could have them also, you know, first name, last initial, or vice versa to kind of do some more protection if you're nervous about that at all.
Mm-hmm. So for them to log in, we then go to this top button, login. And here's everyone in the social studies group. So then they just choose their name. So they're not entering in an email. It's just their name. And then they enter in their password. And then they get logged in. So that's what we do.
But when they first initially set that up, would you show that too?
Yes. So it's KidBlog.org, which is the main homepage. You are going to here, it says secret code. And then you get usually a mixture of letters and numbers. So I had a separate one then for my religion group as I did for my social studies group, since they're two different sites. So then I think the one for them was this. Then you would join the class. You would create your account, your display name, and I told them to do first name, last name, and then their class period, so whatever that was, letters of the day, and then their password that they created, and we all wrote down together in class what the full class website was, what their username was, what their password was, so then they weren't need to create something again because they forgot a password. So that's how they created the initial time. And then the second time, once they have all this set up, is then going to the full website of /Miss Dermody's class. And then we also posted it in here for them to reference and maybe working during study hall or homeroom.
So when you first set it up, you get like the secret code you give to all your students.
And by
They
creating
go
a
to,
class.
yep, they go to kidblog.org, they put in that secret code you've given them, that gets them into your blog. So that's how they get in.
So this is what I would click as a teacher or as an administrator setting it up, is this here, create a class. And then you go through, you do enter in your email. So I do get things from KidBlog, but it was just general, like welcome to KidBlog. It wasn't like inundated with spam or things like that. And then you give it a class name, so I did Miss Dermody's class. And then you create it. And you can choose like the background theme and things like that we have here. And then you can also then do the settings and control panel if you want to review posts, like approve them before they get officially published. I opted not to, but I did tell them, you know, I will delete things if needed. Under settings here, this is our little secret code, so that's how they log in. So if anyone needs to create a new account because they forgot a password or something, they can. There's our full website. And then just saying like the time zone and the date. So for them to create a new post for when they are doing their assignment, I demonstrated this in class. If I would have done this over again, knowing what I know now, hindsight's 20/20, I would have maybe taken us all into the computer lab to do this together, but I did in class have a student come up to the Promethean board and sit in the chair, and they typed in a sample post. So we did all see it, but if I could do it again, I would probably bring everyone here and all do our first one together. So they would title it, so let's just say like Chapter 1, Section 1. They insert everything here, and then they would click Publish. And then I had them do either a picture or a website resource to hyperlink just to extend the conversations, give some talking points, show some creativity. So then let's just say they want to put in a map, because we talked about maps versus globes. So they would click View Original Image so that the whole page is the picture as opposed to the search part. So then they would copy here, paste it in here, and then you get these guys highlighted here. So this is then to make it a hyperlink so that when other students are going through and making their comments, they can then click on it and it'll take them there. So then I'm going to click on this one, which is going to make it a hyperlink. I'm just going to call it Map, open it in a new window, and then they would have their post here about, say there are 3 questions if it's my social studies group. If it's my religion group, it's answering their big theme question. So that when I publish it, there it is. And then when I click on the hyperlink, it takes them there. So that's how I did that.
So you do or you don't have to cite that?
Since it's a hyperlink, they're not citing. Since it's just directing them to something else. So that's why I picked to do a hyperlink, because then a citation wasn't needed. So it's then just directing them then as a hyperlink. Let's see, any other good points? I think, like Mary said, this could be adaptable for any age group, since KidBlog is a really kid-friendly site. I think you could use it obviously in a variety of content areas, and I think that this really incorporates a lot of good skills for 21st century, cross-curricular connections. I'm taking a class right now called New Literacy. That's kind of like digital literacies, to say literacy beyond a book or beyond writing. So this is really key for them going forward into college and career readiness, which we've talked about in professional development. So, anything else you need me to add, or
Any
you guys have
questions from you guys?
If you are interested in doing a blog post, I can walk you through the setup process, or if there's anything else you want me to show you specifically on here.
The rest of the time we can use if you want to go ahead and set up a blog too.
Okay, yeah, so that is
Either way.
going to the main site, which is just kidblog.org, just the home one. And then create a class. And then up here you'll get display name, password, and email. So that's you as the teacher administrator. So you do have control over everything here. We have then class name, so you could call it whatever, so-and-so's class. And then they give you a little verification code, etc. And then you would create your class.
So what's the difference between display name and class name?
Display name is like if you yourself are posting or commenting as you, the teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, so you could say Mrs. Hughes. For me, I did Miss Dermody's class as opposed to Miss Dermody or something. So you could choose whatever.
Okay.
And then class name, I did Miss Dermody's class, and then
So if you wanted to say religion, period, whatever, you could do that.
Yep, so I have them, oh, that's a good point. I have all of my sections together. So like I have 2 sections of religion, and I have 3 sections of social studies. So like for example, when I have all these guys together, they're commenting not just on the group of 20 in their group. They're commenting and collaborating with, say, 40 people or 60 people. So they're getting to interact with them,
Gotcha.
not just in their own
To
section.
get more.
Yeah, so that's a good
Yeah,
point
that's
too,
good.
that then they're operating beyond just the four walls of the hour they're with me or whatever.
And you had to load all those names, you went in and
They
put them
did
all
it.
under
This
they
pops
did it
up
when they-
automatically.
Okay.
So when they join the blog, then their
They're in
name
there.
appears.
Okay, so like if I would start it with mine, but then
Yes.
like Mac would want to join, then his kids could just go on and it would be.
You would then all then have the same sign up.
Okay.
So you guys would say,
6th grade religion.
yeah,
Right,
sixth
yeah.
grade religion. And then
Yeah.
class name, you could again say like 6th grade religion. And then everyone would have the same little secret code
Right,
to
so they can
log
get
in.
on there.
So then
Okay.
you could get whatever, 60 people, 100 people, then on the same thing to then comment back and
Okay.
forth.
What are your thoughts about inviting parents to take a look or be part of the blog? What are your thoughts on that?
They would either go through their student, so the student would then share with them the username and password. So I guess they could comment on and say, oh, hey, good job, you know, son or daughter. And that was something I was going to bring up at conferences too, because that was something new for me this year, to say, oh, if you saw your son and daughter working on this or you helped them, here's more in depth of what it is. So on my laptop for conferences, I was going to plan on showing it to them anyway, just kind of the mechanics behind it. And they would then maybe operate through their student, but otherwise they would then need to create their own. So then I would have to give them their little secret code too, so that they would be whatever, Mr. Smith or Mrs. Jones or whatever, then having their own. So that's a good point. I never thought of that.
Well, and because I brought it up because one of our staff members has a student in her class, and she said he never talks about anything except for what was for lunch that day, but he comes home and talks about what KidBlog, that he loves it.
And that just warmed my heart. Because
Yeah.
I was like, oh good, they're not like super confused that they are enjoying it or something. So
I like that as a parent because when they're middle school, you don't see any of their work. No paper ever comes home, so you don't see it. So it was I could see it through
Yeah.
John's account.
yeah. So also like you said, it's very environmentally friendly, I guess. You know, with 60 in social studies and then 40 in the religion, rather than printing off worksheets or having them, you know, do things in a notebook. It's just a new format and it's electronic. So it's, again, I thought that it would be maybe time consuming with counting all the comments and counting all the posts, but when I can go in and filter by a student, you know, I just have my little rubric that I'm grading and I can then search just for that person, and that's really helpful. So I think there's a lot of pluses and benefits to it. I think it's applicable for a variety of age levels, content areas. So I also am going to put the link on for them on their Plus portals. So if they don't have to then memorize, you know, kidblog.org/mysteries class, it's up here, and maybe they could bookmark it or something, but I'm also planning on putting it as a link under their Plus portal, so in case they can't get in, a link could be there too.
Well, at that age, they're all using symbols as they get to the computer class too.
Oh, okay, so they could pin it there as well.
Symbaloo was mentioned, right?
It really is easier, like when we did our Google Calendar, I kind of thought the same thing, but it really is easier to grade stuff online than you think it is. Because you have no paper. You have, it's all, you log in and I can go through like that, you know, 40 kids, yeah. And you type a lot faster than you write. I mean, it just,
Any access issues? Have you had kids that really have struggled to try to get on and do what you ask them to do?
Well,
or-
it's hard because I don't know their home computer situation. So, you know, if someone does say, you know, I had an error pop up or my internet was out, you know, I give them the benefit of the doubt and I say, you know, take an extra day. But if we take 5 extra days, then, you know, there's a discussion because, you know, there's opportunities here at school, before school, after school, homeroom, study hall. I even have laptops in my room, so if they have work time, you know, they could even pop up on a laptop and do that. So I also tell them that I'm always here to help. I'd rather know again ahead of time than when it's too late. So, you know, let me know as soon as you're having an issue for them. So just responsibility. I guess. And again, since it is independent on their own, I don't give class time to work on your blog. So then a lot of them, I think, probably use homeroom time or a study hall to then do it as well as at home. So setting it up initially, I did have questions, some kids coming in during homeroom, before school, etc. And most of it was just about kind of logging in the first couple times. I had some questions about a hyperlink because I think that was new for them, because they all knew how to do the copy and paste, but then clicking that extra little link button to make it a hyperlink, I think was new for them. So that was the main questions that I had.
How much turnaround time do you have? Like when we do discussion groups in computer class, I give them like 3 days to do the initial post and then extend the replies for another 3 or 4 days. But you have constantly through the chapters, so what kind of time frame do you give them?
Yep, let's look here. So this is for social studies, the rubric that I grade them on. So they just get a little quarter sheet like when they're being graded. So each of these for homework, they read and then they post per section. So I don't know, a section in the reading is not too long, I don't know, maybe 5 pages. And then they do their post on the 3 questions and the hyperlink. So that's per night. So that is a 1-day turnaround. And then comments, once we're done with the whole chapter, then they go in and do comments then for the next day. And I then grade them all at once. So I grade the posts and the comments at the same time rather than grading as I go. So I just then do that in one setting. And then for religion, they have their post over like the big theme question, and then their 3 comments, and then the hyperlink to go along with their idea. Like that last one that I showed you was about like in what ways we can find truth. So they post as like a brainstorming before we read that chapter about that big idea, and then after we read the chapter and discuss it, then they do the comments. So that's maybe 3 class periods later, I'd say. For religion, I see them every other day. I have a day 1 group and then a day 2 group. So for them, I say do next class, because tomorrow I'm not going to see them because I have a day 1, day 2 group. So for them, they get then 2 days, or if it's over a weekend or something. So for them, just because it's a day 1, day 2 group, I say next class. And then for the social studies that I see every day, it's then due tomorrow or due the next class. So. And then as they passed around, they get then beforehand the little quarter sheets. And on there I say, here's our class website again in case you missed it. Here's how to log in. Put in your username, answer the questions, post a hyperlink as well as a description. So they're getting reminders each time with their questions about how to log in and post and things like that. And then same thing with the religion. So they get how to log in, what all they need, what they're posting about, etc. So that is kind of what they get in terms of a description, and then in terms of a rubric. So since we have been doing this now, I'd say maybe like 2.5 weeks, I haven't had as many questions about logging in or about posting. That it was more the first 1 or 2 times that I had most of my questions, or kids coming in to visit me or something like that. If they're really having trouble with posting or something's not working at home, I say even just write it in a notebook and show me, so I can at least give you participation points. And then, come see me then separately, but then I can show you how to post together. Because again, I don't know with their home computer what's going on there, since I don't have it in front of me to diagnose the problem. So, last, case scenario, just at least write something down, but then I can give you credit for it. So, do you guys have other questions about the class or posts or comments?
All right, thank you.